Hi, my name is Marcus Womack. I'm the Minister of Outreach here at Grace Avenue, one of our associate pastors. And it's my joy to be with you talking simple generosity today. And I am joined by Rani Guerra, who's been a member of our church for a few years. She shared some of her story of generosity in worship before, and we wanted to invite her to share her story in worship again this weekend. So Rani, would you tell me some about yourself and maybe your family, your career, whatever you'd like to share about who you are?
Yeah, awesome. Hey, thanks for having me. So my husband Rani and I have two little kids. Nina's 6, Roman just turned 4, and we moved up from Dallas, so far away, 3.5 years ago. And we started coming to Grace Avenue about 3 years ago. Took us about a year to join. So we've been members for 2 or 3 years now. And we are also here in Frisco with my parents and my grandmother.
Awesome.
So it's awesome.
Which is also like kind of a common story at Grace Avenue where we end up with generations of families all together. And I think that's a pretty common story in our church. So would you tell me a little bit about maybe what brought you to Grace Avenue and what keeps you here?
Yeah, so when we moved all of us up to Frisco, it was a wonderful time, but really chaotic. We had a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old, and I was just really looking for some peace and childcare. Yeah. And so I joke with everybody that the childcare is what got me in the door, but it's true. And just having an hour where somebody would take good care of my kids and I could just breathe for a moment is really what got me here.
Yeah.
But what's kept me here has been, it's amazing. So it's not just your amazing harmonies with Alyssa, which I love. What's kept me here is really that I can be myself here, and all of my imperfections are okay here, but I can still grow and move in my faith. Mm-hmm. And my husband and I love how this church really works on its mission. It's living out the mission to eradicate homelessness in whatever form it presents itself.
That's awesome. So, like I said in the introduction, that you have shared some of your story with giving and generosity with the church and what that journey has been like. Would you tell me a little bit about like maybe how you got started with generosity here at Grace Avenue and maybe how that's grown and changed over the years that you've been involved here?
Sure, yeah. So Rani and I kind of dabbled in church for the first decade of our marriage. We weren't there every Sunday. We didn't really find a church home. And we had graduated with a lot of debt. So we were really focused on budgeting and paying down debt and saving and all of those things. And it was hard to find generosity in that. And we kind of felt like, we could be generous without going to church. And so we gave to charities and we built those little tiny donations on a monthly basis into our budget. But really we were focused on paying down debt. Mm-hmm. And when we joined Grace Avenue, we started from a place of just trying to break even from what we were taking from the church.
Okay.
We were really taking advantage of the childcare and the soft place to fall. And so we thought it would be worthwhile to just make small monthly donations to just offset the lights and the basic costs for the infrastructure, because we love the amenities of the church. Right. And those don't come free. And the staff's phenomenal, but that comes at a cost. Mm-hmm. And we can't do it from just our time and our energy. So we just tried to break even. And we do it with the auto withdrawals. And then what we've tried to do to grow that is over time as we get a raise or if we get a bonus, just try to take from that to raise that bar. And it's been a joy to see that you start with what you think is nothing, mm-hmm. and it's so little. But over time, it can really add up and grow.
Yeah, I think that's a hope that we want for anyone who's worshiping at Grace Avenue and considers this their church home, is that where can you identify? So we talked about this in worship. Can you identify what place you're in of maybe not giving at all, or maybe putting some money in the plate here or there, or making intentional recording gifts and so on and so forth. And I think that's a great process that you've lined out there of like, we were intentional in this way, but then we wanted to grow it this way. You talked about a lot of the great practical things about giving to the church too, that I think are wonderful reminders of like giving online that helps regularity of giving and things like that. But would you talk some maybe about maybe some of the faith connections there of giving, or maybe even where you've experienced, you said maybe starting out of some obligation and some sense of, we're taking advantage of this, we want to contribute to it. What does it look like to give out of joy as well as that?
Well, I think that's what came from the growth, the spiritual
Okay.
growth, right? And so I think that we had always felt like you could be charitable, but in actually coming to church and being around people who are inspiring us and talking about what is that higher purpose, it creates a different conversation. And so we've moved beyond just the transaction of giving back the amount that we're taking and moving to what can we do? If we put all of our time and little dollars together with what everybody else is doing, what kind of difference can we make in the world? And it's overwhelming because there's a lot of need out there, but this church does a phenomenal job of saying, you don't have a day, here's what you can do in an hour. You don't have $1 million, we'll take your 10. Like, just whatever you can give, we're going to find a way to put it to a good use. And I personally have found that there's a multiplier effect here. And so it's not just the dollar you give somebody $1, but you're investing in something that multiplies. And it's exciting to see that. And to me, that's the faith piece, is that God's multiplying that for us and for all of his children. So we're excited to get to be a part of that, and it makes you want to do more and more. That's
really wonderful. I mean, I think we hope in these conversations folks get a glimpse of not only the logistics of church fundraising, but participating in what God is doing in the world. I think that's a wonderful picture of that. What are your hopes for maybe what's next for Grace Avenue if everyone is really thinking through this growth and connection with earn all you can, save all you can, give all you can?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have to say I love what Grace Avenue is doing today. So my number one goal for Grace Avenue is to keep up the amazing work that we're doing. And so I don't want to undersell how much we're doing. And there was a great pamphlet in the bulletin today, and there are so many things, and it brings me such joy to see what we're able to do. With the little that we're able to contribute, it builds to this bigger purpose. So the Race Against Hunger, where you can go and we just fill up these little bags.
Yeah, Rise Against Hunger.
Rise Against Hunger.
Those meals, fill those meals
and
for
it's
people.
Thousands of people that are getting fed by that. Mm-hmm. And so we're reaching locally with Frisco Fast Packs and the pumpkin patch and the welcoming and everything that we do. And then we're international. And so it's exciting to me that we're local, we're international, we're working on eradicating homelessness. There's so much more to do. Mm-hmm. So I want to keep doing what we're doing. And that's hard. That's kind of countercultural, even keeping with what we're doing now. Mm-hmm. And then expanding that so we can help more and more people in more and more ways.
Awesome. I think that's all wonderful. Thanks for offering your perspective and your story and sharing that with the broader congregation as well. I think there's a lot to connect with and learn from and be inspired by from you sharing your story. So thanks, Rani, and we hope that you consider your steps in simple generosity with your church family.